The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning to you here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Kevin Charette. Developing news now. An investigation continues this morning after a house fire in Wasco left one person dead and another hospitalized on Filburn Avenue just after midnight yesterday. The Kern County Fire Department says crews arrived to find at least one person trapped in the burning building. Fire crews started searching for anyone inside while backup crews began putting out those flames. It took about an hour and a half to put out the blaze, and crews found two people inside the home. One person was pronounced dead at the scene, the other treated and taken to a local hospital. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. About an hour earlier, crews responded to this blaze in South Bakersfield. It happened just after 11:30 at a home on Custer Avenue near South 8th Street. Video shows flames coming from the roof of the home before crews cut their way into the garage using a saw. We're still waiting to hear whether anyone was hurt or how the fire started. And an investigation is underway after a body was found in an East Bakersfield home early yesterday. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is calling it a suspicious death. County fire crews were called to a home on Montello Street just before 7:30 for a report of a dead man inside. After some investigation by the coroner personnel, they contacted homicide detectives. KCSO says the man was allegedly in a fight the week earlier. He has not been identified. Anyone with information on this incident is urged to call KCSO at 861-3110, or you can remain anonymous by calling the secret witness line. That number is 322-4040. At least one person was taken to the hospital after a crash in South Bakersfield last night. It happened just before 10:30 p.m. on South Union Avenue and Watts Drive. According to the California Highway Patrol, one person had to be freed from the wreckage after getting trapped in one of the cars. The northbound lanes of South Union were shut down for several hours. No word on the condition of the person who was hurt or the cause of this crash. From our 17 News follow-up file now, the Kern County Fire Department has announced memorial services for firefighter Mark Schmidt. Schmidt lost his years-long battle with cancer Sunday, November 27th. The department says the 61-year-old spent 17 years saving lives in Kern County. Schmidt's last assignment was at Station 23 in Fellows. Memorial services will be held at 1 p.m. Thursday at Valley Baptist Church on Fruitvale Avenue. In lieu of flowers, a GoFundMe has been set up to help with medical and funeral expenses. You can find a link on our website, kget.com. A long overdue honor this weekend. Hundreds gathered at Jastrow Park in Bakersfield Saturday for the unveiling of the Kern County World War II Memorial. The memorial has 6 pillars. Each features the emblem of one of our country's military branches during World War II. Below those emblems are the names of Kern County soldiers who gave their lives to fight for our freedom. On the opposite side of every pillar are the names of the World War II veterans who made it back home. Nationally recognized sculptor and Kern native Benjamin Victor made the sculpture for the memorial. It shows a mother receiving notice that her husband would not be returning from duty.
One of the greatest traits about them was they didn't want any fanfare. They would tell you they were just doing what was needed, what the country needed, that they were not heroes. But we know them as the greatest generation.
More than 40 World War II veterans from Kern County were in attendance at Saturday's ceremony. Another ceremony from over the weekend. More than 100 people gathered to see the unveiling of the Central Valley Holocaust Memorial at the Chabad of Bakersfield yesterday. Organizers say it's the first of its kind in the region. 17's Marco Torres has more.
The Central Valley Holocaust Memorial took longer than a decade to bring to reality.
The creation of this memorial was a collective effort from the entire community. The building, the collecting was created by many of the people here.
The memorial has 6 large transparent containers filled to the brim with buttons, each button symbolic of a Jewish life lost during the Holocaust.
When you see the amount of buttons that were collected, it really shows the magnitude of that number, 6 million. It's 6 million people, individuals, and just like the buttons they're varied in size and shape and color, those were the victims. There were people like you and me with different personalities, different shapes, different sizes, mothers, fathers, babies, brothers, sisters.
Chabad of Bakersfield had a special speaker for the event, a 100-year-old Holocaust survivor.
When Dr. Mengele moved further down, I ran back to the other side. If I didn't run back to the other side, I wouldn't be here talking to you. The people on the left were taking on trucks, went straight to the gas station.
Visitors and organizers all shared the same message to the community. Don't let history repeat itself.
Never forget what happened and teach your children to understand and learn how tyranny is not acceptable in these days.
The memorial will be open to the public on Sundays and Mondays between 9 and 4. There is no cost to the public, but donations will still be accepted. From Southwest Bakersfield, Marco Torres, 17 News.
All right, making headlines around the nation, a scary moment Saturday night when a bomb threat forced an evacuation at a theater where singer Patti LaBelle was performing in Milwaukee. LaBelle was on stage at the Riverside Theater when her security whisked her away. Everyone attending the concert was also safely evacuated. Riverside police say the show was postponed following a bomb threat. Police searched the theater with canine units and no explosives were found. The concert organizer is working to reschedule the show. The family of an American journalist who died while covering the World Cup in Qatar is calling for a full investigation. U.S. sports writer Grant Wall collapsed while watching the Netherlands-Argentina match Friday. Wall posted earlier in the week that he tested negative for COVID but had visited a hospital for what he thought was bronchitis. Last month, the former Sports Illustrated journalist said he was briefly detained when he tried to enter a stadium while wearing a rainbow shirt in support of the LGBTQ community. Same-sex relations are illegal in Qatar. Other details surrounding his death are not immediately clear. However, his family believes he was killed. All right, let's take you out live to the White House this morning, where congressional leaders are struggling to reach a deal on a massive government funding package. Democrats and Republicans still have not agreed on top-line spending numbers that will fund the federal government through the fiscal year that ends in September of 2023. The two parties are about $26 billion apart on domestic spending. Lawmakers warn they almost certainly will need to pass a short-term measure to avoid a shutdown at the end of the week. Officials hope to wrap up their work in the lame duck session by Friday, but are now making plans to stay around until Christmas weekend. More details are emerging about WNBA star Brittany Greiner's return to the U.S. She remains at an Army hospital in San Antonio, where she got a haircut, played basketball, and spent time with family over the weekend. Greiner's arrival has been celebrated across the country, but the White House is facing criticism for agreeing to free a notorious Russian arms dealer in exchange for her release. NBC's Drew Petrimo has more.
Maddie, we are now hearing from an official who was on that plane with Brittany Greiner as she made her way back to the U.S. This was the scene inside the plane as Brittany Greiner made her way from a Russian penal colony back home to the U.S. Finally on American soil, Greiner posing with her wife and a government official who spent months on the team negotiating her release.
She jumped on the plane and went right to saying hi to everyone, making a personal connection, shaking hands, saying thank you. I found someone who was just absolutely wonderful, kind, generous, interesting, and above all, authentic.
As family, friends, and supporters celebrate Greiner's return after nearly a year in Russian captivity, there's also concern over the deal that secured her freedom. Greiner was traded for Victor Bout, a notorious Russian arms dealer.
We're glad she's home, but we have to recognize wide-eyed that right now as Americans we have made it clear that we are willing to do anything to bring a single American home, and there are people that are watching that.
I think anytime we can get an American out of jail that's in prison improperly, I think we all celebrate that, and we need to continue to work to get the other folks out too.
Some worry the deal will lead to more Americans being taken captive overseas. Others, concerned Bout, will pick up where he left off.
If Mr. Bout decides to go back to his previous line of work, then we're going to do what we need to do to hold him accountable and to protect our interests.
U.S. officials say any threats Bout might pose are manageable and that they're focused on bringing home more wrongfully detained Americans. You can see the tree. Now that Greiner is back in the U.S., she says she's going to use a foundation set up to help get her home to help other Americans stuck in similar situations. Reporting from Washington, I'm Drew Petrimo, 17 News.
Making headlines around the state, Karen Bass was sworn in yesterday as the 43rd mayor of Los Angeles in a historic moment at the Microsoft Theater. The former Congress member and state assembly speaker is the first black woman elected to the LA mayor's office. Bass overcame a significant spending gap to defeat Los Angeles businessman Rick Caruso in the November election. She'll be sworn in by Vice President and California's former Attorney General Kamala Harris. While addressing the crowd, Bass announced that her first action as mayor would be to declare a state of emergency on homelessness. New videos giving more insight into a fight involving embattled Los Angeles City Council member Kevin De Leon at a Christmas tree lighting event this weekend. Video footage shows De Leon walking away from a group of protesters, attempting to shut a door on them before coming face to face with a man later identified as Jason Reedy. The video shows De Leon shoving Reedy across the table onto the floor. LA police say the brawl continued outside. No arrests have been made, but police say both De Leon and Reedy filed battery reports. Parents are calling for the resignation of a school board president after claims of students being forced to mingle with topless men and drunken adults at a private holiday party. Claremont police, along with the district, are investigating the allegations from Claremont High School choir students who were invited to board president Stephen Yanusa's private holiday party at his home last week. According to the parents, the students were encouraged to socialize with those at the party and given alcohol or offered alcohol. In a statement, CUSD said it's taking the allegations extremely seriously and will not condone any inappropriate behavior by adults toward our students. The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.